Hello, everyone. It's Rachel, and I am so excited to have a guest with me today. Sam is a friend. She's a peer. She's a mastermind momentum sister. And Sam and I actually met in person about a month ago. And Sam was like one of those people that I met, and I was like, oh, we're going to be friends. Like, sat down next to her, and I was just like, I got it. Like, this is going to be a friend. So, anyways, I asked Sam if she'd come on the podcast because I'm absolutely in awe with her, impressed with her. She is such a badass. And I thought all my listeners would so appreciate hearing Sam's wisdom and insight. So Sam is a marketing coach and a marketing expert, I would say, but she's also like a spiritual, magical being. So Sam and I actually had some peer coaching, and she actually totally opened up my mind into all sorts of woo that, I mean, I thought I was the queen of woo, and she just took woo to another level. So after that, I was like, I need to have her on the podcast. She needs to share her wisdom, her magic with everyone, because as I was just saying to Sam a few minutes ago before we jumped on, I don't feel like you find a lot of people that do a great job of blending strategy with spirituality and all of like the magic that can come with it. Often I find, and this is obviously just my perspective and what I see in the world, which is from my filter, but I see a lot of one or the other. And I just think it's so cool and incredible how well Sam has blended it all together. So, Sam, I'll let you do a little intro, who you are, where you are in the world, which is also pretty cool, especially to those of us who are on the East Coast right now in the freezing cold temperatures.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's funny, you guys, Rachel blindsided me with the topic that we're going to talk about today. So I might be a little ummy and likey and all these things and babble a little bit because I had no idea what we're going to talk about today. But I'm super excited to be here. My name is Sam Garcia. I run a company called Dirty Alchemy Digital Marketing. Half of my business is a digital marketing agency for spiritual entrepreneurs. We cheekily say the agency is woo as you, and also do business coaching and have a mastermind called the Alchemical Business Intensive, where you get to learn how to build up the systems and automations within your business so that you're not the most overworked employee of your business, but instead you can actually step into the role of visionary CEO and be employing all of the magical energetic things so that your business is a separate entity than you that can be supportive of you instead of you treating it like an infant that you have to just funnel all of your money, time, and energy into. And I live on Maui, which is definitely a magical place. And so it's been a few years, and I married a Maui boy, so here for life. But I'm originally from Michigan, so it's January right now, and we're about to go on a snow trip because I'm missing the snow.
Yeah, no.
I am, though.
I probably would too if I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm. So where do you want to start, Rachel?
Yeah. So I had asked Sam before. I did surprise her, I think, a little bit because probably not what she was thinking. But instead of talking about like systems and ways to like, scale your business and all that, I wanted to talk about magic because Sam, she introduced me a little bit to some planetary wisdom. If you've never heard of planetary wisdom, I will let Sam tell you more about it and just about things in the world that are kind of magical. Because I really believe being an entrepreneur requires you to believe in magic in a lot of ways. And I think that I don't know if I always did believe in magic. And I think just over the last couple of years as an entrepreneur, I've realized how important it is to it's almost like stepping back in time to when you were like a child in believing in fairy tales and believing in, that you can just pop out of a balloon or whatever, the magical things that happen in all of like the Disney movies. All of a sudden the Frozen movie started flashing before my eyes, but really just the magic that's available. And really, ironically, I believe that you have to have an element of that belief in order to truly be successful in any business, but especially in the wellness world, right? Because you have to believe in things before you have any freaking clue if they're going to happen. So I was hoping you, Sam, could share a little bit of your wisdom, maybe a little bit of things you've experienced, and like maybe how you interplay magic into your business, and even ways that you encourage other people to do the same, like you kind of did with me.
Okay. So I got into the New Age movement or spirituality, had my own little spiritual awakening when I was 19, soon after my dad died. So he died unexpectedly. Like a lot of people, it kind of rocks your boat and opens you up to things that you weren't open to before. And so I think it like started with like Gabby Bernstein and like law of attraction stuff and affirmations, and like that is the most common thing in self-help these days. And spirituality is this very conscious mind, will-based, mind-based way to create your reality. And totally valid, totally works most of the time, unless you're missing some pieces. But there's so much more to it, and so many different dimensions that you can add to it and add to your life to make it, instead of just this mental process, you can make it into just a way of being and living. The next phase that I got into after that was getting into shadow work, which is mainly working with the unconscious mind, the subconscious, the things that you have repressed, the taboo that you have repressed in your childhood or because of society, and really digging into that work so that you can unlock the energy that is in your unconscious and actually unite your will. So you can unite the conscious will and the unconscious will, so that you have this powerful channel of energy to actually create your reality from, instead of your unconscious mind actually having everything in your world actually manifest from your unconscious mind, instead of in like sprinkling affirmations on top and thinking that it's going to change anything. But if you're like standing in a pile of poop and you just spray like poopery around, like spray affirmations around, it's not going to actually affect anything, when you really just need to like move out of the pile of poop and like maybe compost it. At that point, I thought I was such a badass, because like all the other people were like, into new age spirituality and affirmations and stuff. And I was like, shadow work's like definitely the way to be and like the place to be. And that's where I really got into the occult, which is, when you think of magic, it's usually people who are working with astrology, tarot, like straight up spell work, witchy shit. And it starts to point back to ancient Hermeticism. And when you start digging into there, you realize that the like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, if not thousands of years ago, people were working with the shadow work. We're doing shadow work. They were doing law of attraction work. They were doing and more in order to create their realities. And we just lost a lot of that. They were doing it on a much deeper level. There was full, like, you would just live your life in this way. And we've lost that over time. We've lost that with industrialism. We've lost that with colonialism. And we've lost that with religion taking over the world versus like taking us away from animism as a world religion for the human species, like shamanism being a part of life for most of human history. And what a lot of it is it's a way of rhyming with the universe, not just with your mind. So what if there was this huge host of unseen forces that were supporting you, that you could actually communicate with in ways other than just talking to them? So when you start employing magic and like doing spell work, what you're doing is you're communicating with the universe in a way that it actually understands better. You start working with archetypes. You start working with dreams. You start working with colors and gems and plants and animals and these different things that are different than words, that are different than just our brain can put together. And instead of just using your mind, you're using your three-dimensional reality to add more power to what you're trying to create. Am I making sense, Rachel?
Yeah.
So far?
So Sam, will you give them an example?
Yes.
Like how one would go beyond their mind and maybe tap
Yeah.
into
So,
some of these other areas?
yeah. So favorite entry level way of doing this is with planetary magic, as you introduced, Rachel. And if you can imagine the human species thousands of years ago, even hundreds of years ago, when there was no light pollution, you would go outside and it would be complete darkness and you would just be able to see the stars at night. You didn't have light inside of your house other than candlelight. So like, you're not really spending much time indoors. It's not like you're reading or watching Netflix. So there's this huge expanse of human history where we are outside looking at the stars, having intimate relationship with the stars. And that's actually where most of our deities have come from. Mm-hmm. So when you think of the Greek pantheon of Venus and of, I don't know, I always mix up Roman and Greek in the names of them, or like Aphrodite or whatever. They're all actually based off of the 7 visible planets. Yes, there's planets beyond that, but it wasn't obvious to the visible eye. So we weren't actually working with those as a ancient human species. And all of the shamans, all of the magicians, all of these people who would work with the unseen, I mean, that's what a cult is. It's secret knowledge. It's the unseen, would be tapping into this knowledge. And for most of this time, you would actually be using shamanic journeying to connect with these planets, these huge bodies of wisdom and knowledge, and learning from them. So we all know, like, if you think of stories of Aphrodite and Venus, it's all about love and beauty and luxury. Like, okay, so that's actually a planet that you can work with. So with planetary magic, you're working with these planetary deities in order to get what you want. And it sounds very like extractive the way I just said it, but through the actual process, you're trying to gain favor from this deity by giving it offerings, by doing things that it likes, by acting in a way that you think it would like, by talking with it, by forming a relationship with it. So it's not actually this extractive process. It's actually building a relationship with a much stronger body of influence than you are as this human in a meat suit, and helping it to create what you want. So if we're looking at the 7 planets, we can go through them, and all of the planets have like different like quote unquote personalities or areas of life that it is associated with and it influences. So I'm going to try and get all of them off the top of my head. The sun is your identity and the way you shine light in the world. So in astrology, you can think of your sun sign, like I'm a Virgo sun. So the way that you would shine light into the world, you can think of astrology in that way. But if you work with the sun, it's associated with health and vitality and purpose. So if you're struggling in that area, you would work with the sun. The moon is associated with psychic ability, with the home, with mother, maternal, matriarch type stuff. It is with peace and harmony, that like very much like home. Then we have Mercury. And I mean, everyone knows about Mercury retrograde. Oh my gosh, right. What is going on? Like, what happens during Mercury retrograde? Communication and technology fails. So Mercury, if you think of it in the stories that you're told in grade school, Mercury was actually the god that spoke between heaven and earth. It was the messenger of the gods. If we're thinking about it in terms of the sky, if you actually sit back at night and you look in the sky, Mercury is one of the most common ones you see. And because it's so close to the sun, it looks like it's moving really fast around. And that's where like it came up with this story of messenger with the gods, because it's seen often, it comes back and forth, it moves around quickly. And so we work with Mercury for communication, better communication, for internet, for tech, for quick money, for luck. Like that's associated with Mercury. Venus is another really common one to work with. And as we mentioned, like beauty, luxury, money is also associated with her, marriage and sex and all of that stuff associated with Venus. Jupiter is a really big one for business owners because associated with wealth. So Jupiter, the largest planet, Saturn's largest planet, it's one of the biggest planets. And it's associated with expansion. And it's kind of like the big daddy in the sky, Zeus. You know who Zeus is.
Yes.
So, but very often associated with money and wealth and bigness being seen often too. So in growth. So we have 5 now. What am I saying? Mars. Mars is, I'm not going to remember other names for the deity of Mars, but Mars is drive, motivation, action. So you can work with it if you're not feeling motivated, if you want to start a health routine and you want to just like fucking do it. Then the final one that's visible of the 7 planets is Saturn. And Saturn is karma, mastery, death, taxes. And like all of these have metaphors in it associated with the visible sky. And before I finish with Saturn, like metaphor is so important with magic because it is actually how you communicate with your unconscious mind. So suddenly when you start seeing synchronicities happen, it's because the universe is trying to rhyme with you. It's trying to communicate with metaphor. So what we're doing with magic is we're trying to communicate back with metaphor. So like when I'm telling stories, like you can do a deep dive into any of these and like learn the actual astronomical action of planets and also read about their deity myths and also like learn about the animals corresponding with them and the days of the week corresponding with them. But okay, going back to Saturn, Saturn is like the last one we can see. So in the eyes of like ancient shamans, it was like this threshold between life and death. And he was like the keeper of 3D reality. Okay. Which is, and like you think about the planets outside of that, that's now known today of like Neptune and Pluto and Uranus. They're very like etheric. They're not actually having to do with like 3-dimensional life where like those 7 planets are like, so Saturn is like this gatekeeper, also known as Chronos, time, right? So Saturn is like a super interesting one. Anyways, so what I recommend if you wanted to like get started with something today is choose an area of life you want help with, and then choose a planet that's associated with it that sounds like a really fun one to work with. If you're having trouble deciding, go with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like if you don't have your survival foundational layer, like deal with the survival things. Like if it like the home, the money, the food, like what's the planet that can support you with that? Then after that, maybe like deal with your creativity and your like sex, you know? So like if we're thinking about that. So choose an aim and get specific of what you want your aim to be. Choose a planet to do with it. And then just start getting to know that planet. There are lists on the internet. You can go to my website, thedirtyalchemy.com. We have a bunch of blogs on each of the planetary deities and like rituals you can do, correspondences. And that's like quote unquote correspondences. If you Google those associated with the planet, they'll be like straight up lists of the different plants, animals, colors, gemstones, days of the week, times of the year that's associated with each of these planets. And they are fucking long lists because again, humans have been working with these planets for hundreds of years. The ancient alchemists, where you like hear about them turning lead into gold, which is most likely a metaphor of like turning lead into gold of your psyche. They were working with it. And you look at the days of the week, they're based off of planets. Like Monday, moon day, Sunday. Sunday.
Yeah.
Tuesday is Tears Day, which is another word for Mars in Nordic culture. Wednesday is Mercury. If you look at Spanish or French, like you see miércoles, like Mercury. It's like very clear. Thursday is Thor's Day. Again, Nordic culture having to do with Jupiter. Friday, we look at different language. They're literally associated with the 7 different planets. Saturday, Saturn Day, because it was so important to our culture and so important to humans in our history to actually work with these. And magic is this vast, vast library of different ways. Like people like work with devils and demons. People work with just dream, and people do like candle magic or hoodoo magic. Like there's a gazillion different types of occult ritual work that you can jump into. I'm just giving like one tiny little sliver of like this huge thing. But it's a really accessible thing because we all can look into the sky and see the planets and see it actually in our everyday life. And again, the whole purpose of this is how can we use metaphor in our 3D reality in order to talk with the universe and have it talk back.
What do you think people could, like in relation to business, like what do you think people can, what have you seen people experience through really tapping into like this other, I don't want to say like this 4-dimensional world, really, right? We're talking about like tapping into what we almost can't see.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one of my mentors, Carolyn Elliott, who is a marketing client of ours, she like straight up teaches occult magic in online courses. And like you can go to any of her sales page and just see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of testimonials of people who are using like this type of magic and getting very, very, very tangible results, depending on what their aim is. So, and I can like tell my own story of like being able to like triple my income within a year of starting to work with Jupiter, right? Like
yeah, I just think people should actually know that, Sam. So Sam and I are in this mastermind together, and you know, I don't remember exactly what you said the numbers were, but they were pretty insane what you went from in a year.
Yeah. And this isn't just this is a lot of things compounding together. Right. But within a year of starting to work with Jupiter and like intentional planetary magic, I was at like 2,500 to 3,500 a month as an income as a freelancer for years. It was like a very comfortable place for me to be. And within a year of working with Jupiter, I had my first 10K month. And then within a few months, I had like crossed over the 25K threshold. So it works. It works really fast and it's really fun. It really activates parts of you that's not like, I'm just going to like journal and do thought work.
Sam, I think that is like the key point here is it's fun, because I think so often like we go out there, we create our own business because we don't want to get stuck, at least us creatives, right, in that 9-to-5 rut, right? That tends to come with a lot of people. Of course, I know that's a thought with like corporate America, right? But you go out and you want to create your own business because you want it to be fun. And then you end up making your business, like you become a slave to it, which I know we could have a whole nother conversation about. And it's like, where did the fun go? And I know that's like one of the things I've been working on a lot is just having more fun, being more playful. And I agree. I think like inviting the magic in, if nothing else, it's a way to have some fun in your business and just in your life too.
Well, in a lot of this work, it has a lot to like, you're suddenly like sourcing out, like, I have to get a green candle and like, I'm going to buy this tarot deck and I'm going to like create an altar and, I want to like start working with like panther magic. And like, so I'm going to like watch a documentary about panthers. Like it's so multidimensional versus like, I'm just going to journal and do my thought work. And it really connects you so much more with the physical world and the world we live in outside of our like work from home offices. And like, I'm not sure, I'm total introvert, hermit style living, and
Hands
love
up,
it.
me too.
Yeah, hands up. Like,
Hands
I've
up.
actually, like, I've never had a corporate job. I've only worked for myself
too.
from home ever. So like, and like, which is a beautiful thing, and like made COVID really easy. Um, but when, I'm sure you've noticed this too, Rachel, but when you actually go to the class and like go to the grocery store and like try out this new project and like actually interact with the outside world, like that's when the synchronicities come in.
Mhm.
That's when like you make the connection that you like didn't even know you needed. It happens so quick, because I mean, we can like go back to the law of attraction shit, where it's like angels are working through God in the world, and like we actually need to go out of our house in order to like have them land, right?
Yeah, I love that. I just think it's like I really did not know much at all about planetary magic. I mean, I think, we talked a little bit about this, not today, but earlier on, like, I've been a yogi, a student of yoga for like the last 2 decades. And there is a lot of deities and mysticism, and a lot of this overlaps in a lot of ways. But this part I never really learned much about. So as soon as Sam introduced me to it, of course, I dove right in because that's just what I do. Bought a book, searched the internet. We talked about on Friday and about dressing in pink. So every Friday, like literally wear pink on Fridays now. I'm an easy sell. We'll just say it as that. But it's fun. And I think that's a huge piece of this is, like you said, is bringing the fun back into your life. And I think similar to you, like I can be very introverted. I can definitely can stay in my home all the time. But you're right. Like there has to be a balance of getting out there and connecting, not just with humans, but like back with nature, back with the world, and all the magic that really the world has for us. And isn't that kind of why we're all here?
Mm-hmm.
To do it together, to
Yeah.
create kind of magic together.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the yogi stuff is like such an easy crossover to working with magic, because like a lot of it is like giving offerings, and
Mm-hmm.
like that is a part of the yogic culture. Like creating your altar, it's actually a
Yep.
part of the yogic
Huge
culture. Like
part.
chanting and like saying like specific phrasing, like that's already a part of yogic culture. So it's fun to scoot over to a more Western viewpoint of pretty much like the magic that is yoga, and seeing like, oh, this is how this other culture does it, and how does that actually connect in with me.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's been, I'm so grateful because it's been like, like, because I mean, how, yeah, how do I get to blend them together now? And then still have, like, the human brain, which obviously, and so it's like, yeah, like you said, it's like blending all these different modalities together to like make up your vibe, who you're going to be, how you're going to show up in this world as a person. And for those of us, I mean, podcast is for those of us who have wellness businesses. So for all of us, in our businesses too. And like, I guess I wanted also to have Sam on just to encourage people to like explore, like whether it's planetary magic or, in yoga training, we did journeys with, spirit animals or whatever it is you want to like, but be open, have that curiosity to like, to tap into something that maybe you can't touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Well, and so another thing you wanted to touch on today was integrating spirituality and strategy.
Yes.
And so the name of my podcast is called Business as a Magical Practice. And it's from this viewpoint that for spiritual entrepreneurs, we often will use our spirituality or spells and rituals in order to support our business. And so like we'll meditate every day so that we're more efficient, and we'll do our money magic in order to make more money in our business. But my whole viewpoint is actually through being an entrepreneur, through having a business, is actually our way to access our soul's full evolution. And because it suddenly becomes this playground in order for us to actually push our limits and push our edge and have our shadow come up, in order to have our edge come up and our limiting beliefs come up. And it's like one of the best ways. So it's not just like we're using our spirituality to feed our business, but we can actually use our business to feed our spirituality.
Oh my God, I love that, Sam. I don't know if you know, but the name of my certification is Live Your Dharma. And the word Dharma is to fulfill your soul's purpose. So everything. Yes, I believe.
I love that. In the Hawaiian language, it's kuleana. That's the word for it. I really like that word.
Yeah, I love this though, but it's like you're not just using this. It's all intertwined.
Yeah, and we have, again, as spiritual business owners, we have such an advantage, or we can have such an advantage to Muggle business owners, like those who don't want to use magic and spirituality, because, and again, you don't need spirituality and you don't need magic in order to run a successful business. Sure. You don't. Like, there's plenty of examples. But that doesn't mean that you can't hack the system and have it be more pleasurable, be easier, be faster, be more connected with your dharma if you employ spirituality in the process.
Yeah.
But and that's where, like, obviously, like, you can't just like sit and meditate all day and affirm all day and see anything. Like, that's where, like, the strategy does have to come in.
Yeah, I 100%
where you have to
agree.
Take action, right?
I say that to people all the time. You can't just like manifest something with your thoughts. Like, you have to actually go do shit too.
Yeah. So it is like this beautiful synastry that we can have an advantage. So if you are someone who is afraid to lean into the woo, and you're afraid to like let your spirituality freak flag fly, like, I hope this is really like the permission to realize that it is an advantage. It is something that you're on the cutting edge, and in whatever, in 5 years, in 10 years, the science is going to really start backing even further what we know in practice and spirituality. So you are on the cutting edge.
I love that. Let your spiritual freak flag fly. Yes. Embrace it, because I mean, in all truthfulness, I talk about this a lot, but like, you got to be you. If you try to be something other than you, and if this is something that resonates and speaks to you, and you're holding back because you're afraid people won't like or accept you for it, you're dimming a piece of your light. And your people will be into it. Your people will be like, that is the coolest thing ever. My mastermind group that I lead, I shared with them the spell kit, and they were like, this is why we hired you, because you introduced us to all this weird ass shit. And I'm like, yes, this is me.
Yeah, getting into magic can be as simple as just ordering a spell kit off the internet.
Yeah, you can go to Etsy and order a spell kit. So, Sam, tell them again the name of your podcast. I've been listening to it. I absolutely love it. I'm sure they will want to listen to it. And then, of course, like, if they're interested in learning more about your work, learning more, like going to your website, learning more about the Planetary Magic, or just, about how to really embrace both sides, like embracing your own spirituality, embracing your spirituality in your business, tapping into how business actually is fueling your spirituality, all of this, which is all I think is so cool and so fun. Where do they find you?
Yeah, so podcast is called Business as a Magical Practice. It's anywhere podcasts exist. New episode every Thursday. I'm very active on Instagram. Handle is The Dirty Alchemy. Website is thedirtyalchemy.com. If you want a freebie for like a really great way of actually grounding some spirituality into your business, I have one called The 8 Phases of a Numinous Launch, which goes through the 8 phases of launching and the whole, so it actually mimics the moon cycle, and you can actually like ground the moon cycle into it, so that you're not just focusing on this growth. You're not just focusing on the ramp up, but you're actually honoring the end of any natural cycle, which is the dying period, the dying off in the winter period, the waning phase of the moon going to dark. So that is at thedirtyalchemy.com/phases. It's a great resource. If you are a business owner who is making 100K a year or more, and you are looking to scale to 500K or a million, I work one-on-one with people. There's a few more spots for that, and you can just DM me on Instagram. And then there's also the mastermind, which is all around systematizing your business and actually seeing, I mean, we're talking woo, we're actually seeing your business as a separate entity than you, right? And like actually communing with the soul of your business so that it can be a powerful entity and grow beyond you. I think that's all the places.
Okay, I absolutely love that. So yes, if you are past that 6-figure level, Sam is incredible. Highly, highly, highly recommend her. And you get to integrate all the spiritual with all the strategy, which is a perfect, perfect blend. Anyway, thank you so much, Sam, for taking time out of your busy schedule and spending it with us here today. And I am so grateful to have you on, sharing your wisdom. Everyone go find Sam's podcast and go check out her freebie. I'm sure it's amazing. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm absolutely going to now as soon as we get off. Well, after I go finish with my next class, but after that. But everyone, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. And thanks again, Sam, for being here with us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rachel. Happy to be on here, and so good to talk with you today, everyone.